Prior to the arrival of the Europeans, what Uruguay's population consists of today, the country was inhabited by nomadic tribes, hunters and gatherers. A Spanish expedition headed by Juan Díaz de Solís arrived at the Rio de la Plata in 1516. Solís was murdered by indigenous people at his exact moment of landing. This event forced the expedition to retreat and opened the door to the possibility of the tribe's extermination. At the beginning of the 17th century, Hernando Arias de Saavedra, Asunción's governor, introduced a small number of cattle and horses to the Uruguayan territories. Colonization in Uruguay was basically carried out from Asunción del Paraguay and Buenos Aires in the 16th and 17th centuries. This territory was disputed between the Spanish and the Portuguese empires. In 1680, the Portuguese founded the Colonia del Sacramento above the Rio de la Plata, the first truly lasting European settlement. One day, this colony would become the permanent object of conflict. Buenos Aires governor Bruno Mauricio de Zabala founded the city of Montevideo in 1726, which was originally only a military fort dependent on Buenos Aires. In 1776, the Virreinato del Rio de la Plata, with its capital in Buenos Aires, was created. Montevideo then grew, and a conflict began where economic interests against Buenos Aires accentuated the local spirit of autonomy. From 1806 to 1807, the British Empire invaded the Rio de la Plata and briefly took over Buenos Aires and Montevideo. Spain was invaded by Napoleon's forces in 1808 and the Spanish monarchy collapsed. Throughout Spain itself and its colonies, provisional councils began to formalize in order to replace the missing king. On May 25, 1810, the Spanish viceroy Cisneros was overthrown and replaced by a Buenos Aires government council declared as rulers under the name of the missing Fernando VII. The rebellion against Spanish authorities spread in the region. At the beginning of 1811, Captain José Artigas from Blandengue's force joined the May Council.
No le dice mi general, alumbrando con su voz la oscuridad.
After the revolution, Artigas defeated the Spanish army in the famous Battle of Las Piedras in 1911, then participated in the besieging of Montevideo along with troops from Buenos Aires.
¿A dónde va? Con libertad, no ofendo ni temo.
May Orientals be as enlightened as brave, said José Artigas.
Oriental en la vida y en la muerte también. Oriental en la vida y en la muerte también.
In the following years, he battled the Spanish, the Portuguese, and the Porteños, those from Buenos Aires. Due to the threat of Buenos Aires centralism, Artigas proposed a federal government. Finally defeated in 1820, Artigas was exiled in Paraguay, where he died in 1950. The Spanish forces in Rio de la Plata disappeared in 1814, and Montevideo was besieged by the Portuguese in 1817, later becoming Brazilian territory in 1821, after Brazil declared independence from Portugal.
Mi país, qué tristeza.
On August 25, 1825, an assembly gathered in La Florida to proclaim Uruguayan independence from Brazil, drawing together the united province of the Rio de la Plata. On October 4, 1828, a treaty was signed between the Brazilian Empire and Argentina under British watch, which recognized Uruguay's full independence. On July 18, 1830, the first Uruguayan constitution was sworn in, and Fructuoso Rivera became the first Uruguayan president. The constant confrontation among caudillos, local leaders, became the stamp of Uruguayan history in the 19th century. In 1836, General Rivera rebelled against Manuel Uribe, his successor for the presidency. On September 19, 1836, the carpentry battle had government troops fighting Rivera. Uribe's forces wore white headbands and Rivera's people chose red ones. This was the birth of the two main political parties, the Red Party and the White Party. The defeat and death of the white caudillo Aparicio Saravia in 1904 closed a chapter of almost a century of political violence. In 1903, José Valle Ordóñez assumed the presidency, bringing a series of political reforms. On March 31, 1933, President Gabriel Terra attempted and succeeded a coup d'etat, which disabled democracy until 1942, when it was fully restored. Revolutionary laws, such as women's suffrage in 1938 during the Cerro Chato plebiscite, promised a democratic nation beyond patriarchy. Uruguay was modernized, influencing the rest of South America in a humane way. The first half of the 1950s was characterized by economic prosperity, which began to crumble rapidly in 1955. In 1958, after 93 years of a Red Party government, the National Party, representing the white ones, won the elections. In February of 1971, the Frente Amplio Party was born, a coalition of left-list groups. The leader of this coalition was the presidency candidate, General Libre Sereni.
Estamos abriendo una nueva época en la vida del Uruguay.
Although the guerrilla movement disintegrated in 1972, it was not easy to suit government military forces. On June 27 of 1973, President Juan Maria Bordaberry dissolved parliament and military aid, which was the start of a 12-year dictatorship. On March 1, 1985, negotiations began and democracy came back with Julio Maria Sanguinetti as president. Since then, the three main political parties, the Reds, the Whites, and the Frente Amplio, alternated power throughout the years. Juan Manuel Blanes, called the nation's painter, gave life to the gauchos by depicting them in their daily lives, as well as important historical people with great academic realism. Pedro Figari immortalized traditions of Uruguayan African descendants with undulating strokes and a wild style. Federico Saez, despite his early death at only 22 years of age, was able to transcend history. His abstraction skills were highly innovating at the time. Joaquín Torres Garcia, a master of constructive realism, depicted Uruguayan landscapes with a semi-abstract style. He took great inspiration from primitive art. Barradas was able to express the soul of a person using only semi-abstract or plain figures, without any regards to detail, but only the essence of a person. Petrona Vieira, who became deaf at 2 years of age, created a very subjective personal art without detailed figures. She was able to express her special view about people and how the world operated. José Cunha was a painter renowned for his depiction of phantasmagorical moons, clouds, and expressionist landscapes. José Pedro Costigliolo was celebrated for his non-figurative art and his vibrant geometrical shapes. On July 18, 1896, the first Uruguayan film exhibition took place in the Rouge Salon, today known as the Romantic Museum. A Lumiere projector was used in this event. In 1998, bicycle race was shot by Catalan Felix Oliver in the Velodrome in Arroyo Seco as the first Uruguayan production. The following years, Oliver would film some shorts, documentaries, and several visual files. In 1932, Carlos Alonso filmed The Little Hero from the Gold Creek, which was based on a real case. It tells the story of Dionisio Diaz, a boy that sacrificed himself to save his little sister from a murderer. In the late 30s, there were a bunch of feature films. Two Destinies by Juan Echeverre, Vocation, directed and starred by the opera singer Rina Massardi.
Mi problema y el suyo resuelto. Mañana.
Candelaria Radio by Rafael Abela with the popular radio comedian Eduardo De Pauli.
Yo quiero ser tu madrina.
¿Cómo no, señora? Aunque sea mi padrino.
Ay, Candelario.
In the 40s, some co-productions with Argentina are attempted. The most notorious one is the adaptation of The Three Musketeers, directed by Julio Saraceni and starred by Armando Bow. It was shot in Parque Rodó Castle.
Amigos, estamos en nuestra querida patria. Si hemos de morir, moriremos como buenos orientales en nuestra propia tierra. ¡Juremos librar la patria!
In 1952, Miguel Melino attempted historical cinema with the 33 Orientals Landing. The middle-length film from 1959, A Penny for Judas by Hugo Olive, tried to portray the mediocrity of the city life. The film is currently lost. The 60s were characterized by a strong political militancy. The most important name of this time is undoubtedly Mario Handler. During the dictatorship, there were very few feature films. The Argentinian filmmaker Eva Landek directed George Hilton and actors from the National Comedy in the film The Place of Smoke in 1979. In 1982, Uruguayan Cinemateca showed its first and last feature film called Benicio Flores Was Killed by Juan Carlos Rodriguez Castro. In the 80s, after democracy was restored, there were several video productions, especially many documentaries.
¡Policía! ¡Quieto del rodeo! ¡Quieto!
Pepita the Holster's Almost True Story by Beatriz Flores Silva is definitely one of the last important films recorded by a Betacam. The full-length fiction film in 35mm made their comeback with the 90s movies The Zeppelin, directed by Pablo Dota. Certain production stability starts in 2001 with the films 25 Watts by Rebel and Stoll and In This Tricky Life by Beatriz Flores Silva.
Hoy corté una flor y llovía, llovía.
Rebel and Stoll consolidated themselves with Whiskey in 2004. Since then, Uruguayan filmmaking has had a continuous rhythm.
La ciudad pues llovía. Yo me puse a pensar tantas cosas bonitas.
Ruega por nosotros, pecadores, ahora y en la hora de nuestra muerte. Amén. Virgencita, te pido que no nos dejes solo en el camino seguro.
Voy a poner un baño. Alquilar el día que venga el Papa.
Yo estuve pensando mucho todos estos meses. No sé qué es lo que quiero, pero no es lo que nosotros dos teníamos.
¿Otra propiedad del abuelo? ¿Y dónde es eso?
Hola. Beto, el filete.
Ya, acá es el rincón de Darwin.
Ahí está la otra propiedad. Te propongo ir a verla el sábado.
Yo puedo, no tengo problema. Podemos ir en la camioneta, ¿no?
Bueno.
para volver a partir como antes, dejando el corazón.
Ladies and gentlemen, the man,
milonga,
his music, the dancer.
La milonga es.
He is ours tonight. He is here. Alfredo Citarrosa.
Milonga. Milonga.
Ladies and gentlemen, ladies and
La milonga es hija del candombe, así como el tango es hijo de la milonga.
he is ours tonight. He is here.
Apareció Suárez, Luis Suárez en el Metropolitano.
Actually went the right way ultimately, but couldn't get there. Cracking goal, it ignites the match again.
La milonga es hija del candombe, así como el tango es hijo de la milonga.